Hey y'all, welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Colton, here with Brandon. 5 cards, 5 minutes, wrapping up 7 Deadly Sins 2. Brandon, what's our first card?
First, we have Arden, draining enemies. During your turn, events cost +1 in your opponent's hand. So it's a really interesting effect to be able to potentially make those money counters more expensive or make Torch more expensive. Also has the ability to rest this card to give one of your other characters 1,000 power. So it's a card that can sit in your back row and kind of really force your opponent to have to pay additionally to use events that maybe would have been free or less expensive.
Yeah, I think this is definitely like a local meta card if you're playing SDS and you're tired of your Danmachi opponent constantly using their events on your turn, or if you're playing into a lot of Neg Soul counters at your locals. This is like a tech piece that can deal with that. That's probably about the only time this will get played, but it's a really interesting effect. Next, King Internal Strife. This card gets 500 for each of your other Britannia characters. On attack, ditch gold bar, give this 1,000 power, and on reverse salvage. As an off card in a bar deck, you're going to get a lot of bars in the hand. This gives you something to do with them. It's alright if you're running bar combos. I can see you playing this card as a way to get those bars out of your hand and get better hand fixing.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting way to potentially kind of hand filter your bars into selective salvages. So it's a really nice off level 1 piece. I think is really good for that bar deck. Next up, we have Elaine Revived. Has a climax combo with Back from the Dead, the standby climax. When you play the standby, you can choose one of the Bon mid-match squabble from waiting room and return it to hand, so you can get that 2/2 from waiting room to your hand on climax play. And you have the additional brainstorm effect on this card, which is why you would probably run this card. Send one character from stage to waiting room and then rest this card. And then for each climax revealed, look it up to 3 cards at the top of your deck and then choose one to add to hand. So it's a stockless brainstorm, potentially removing the character from field that you probably would have had to stand by over anyway. Really interesting synergy with the standby deck.
Yeah, this is weird. I don't know necessarily why you would want to salvage a 2/2 when you slam a standby trigger. That feels weird. Also, sacrificing a character to brainstorm, especially because it's just a look at 3, add 1 brainstorm, is weird. You can technically like get your standby off of that if you hit. This is weird. I don't think it's very good. I could also see myself being proven wrong on this card. We will see if 8 standby SDS decides to run this profile. Next, Javago and Bond, Final Reunion. Pay 1 to put this into your memory, and then when your other character with Bond in its name is frontal attacked, you can send this to the bottom of deck from memory, put the character that was attacked into memory, and then at the beginning of Encore Step, return it to stage. So basically, it is a pay 1 delayed time machine for Bonds specifically. This is fine, I guess. I don't know. In Bond Waifu, I suppose this is playable. I guess if you want to run your combo back, but Time Machine is not super powerful. It's fine, but it's not amazing. This is only fine.
Yeah, no, it's a really interesting card because it's kind of like mixing Time Machine and Oboro in the same time frame. So like you're denying reverses with this card, and you're still spawning that character back to stage for effectively a pay 1, pitch 1 from hand, because you have to play it down and then pay 1. It's a level 0 that you don't necessarily want to have on field. So it makes for a very odd deck building choice when you're playing around with the Bonds. Last up, we have this level 0. If all the other characters are Britannia, this card gets initial 2,000 power, so it sits at 3/5 power. And when it reverses your opponent, you're able to, if you have 4 or less stock, send that card to the bottom of your opponent's deck. So you're able to remove cards that have on waiting room effects or even potentially on reverse effects on your turn. Without those effects triggering. Notably, this effect can happen on either turn. So if you're able to keep this cross turn at 0, you could potentially remove your opponent's characters if they frontal attack into it.
Yeah, this gets rid of annoying zeros that have effects. Some of the time, it won't proc on your opponent's turn, like if they crash a Rize. It's a 3/5 permanently, as long as you're not playing like the villain's deck. It's an oversized 0 with a useful effect. I think this card could get run. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week. The Christmas charity live stream, Wednesday, 6 o'clock Eastern. Join us for 24 hours of Weiss and guests. Going to be a lot of fun. Pay attention to the community page and to our Twitter account for any updates. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and have a good one.
We'll see you then.